Did it start?
Yeah, it's good.
It did? Okay, you can edit that part out. uh, all right. What's up, everybody? This is Sea Lunch Sports here with Kennedy Curley. We've got Ian back. Ian.
Back.
What's up?
Good to be back,
And
boys.
Hayden. We got
Hello.
Hayden over here.
Hello, sir.
So we're back today. Real quick, before we start anything, I would like to go ahead and promote our Twitter page. We have a Twitter page. It's pretty new, not too many followers, but we understand that there are some people who listen from all the way in Oregon to Oklahoma,
Shout out the guy in
Mississippi,
Oregon.
Arkansas, and Texas. We're very thankful to have each and every one of you listening and contributing to our podcast. And we would love if you went ahead and followed us at Lunch Sports. It's capital L and capital S, if that makes any difference. And so go ahead and give us a follow. Go ahead and DM us any ideas that you'd like to talk about, or any suggestions that you'd like for us to put in the show, or anything that you just like about our show. But go ahead and give us that follow, Lunch Sports. So thank you for that. Ian, I know it's been a while since you've been back, so we're glad to have you.
Glad to be here. I'm glad to finally be back. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I guess we can go ahead and start on the biggest topic of the day. 2 nights ago, the Zion Williamson show was happening, or so you would think, because the draft lottery, all they talked about was Zion Williamson. But we're going to go ahead and remind you that Zion Williamson is not the only person who is going to get drafted in June. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do our lottery mock draft. We're going to go ahead and start at 1 and finish at 14. Now, of course, we all probably have the same first overall, unless Ian's willing to pull up somebody.
I think mine's different.
Who?
Okay, well, Hayden, let's hear it from you. I'm ready to fight you about this.
The New Orleans Pelicans are selecting Jackson Hayes. I'm just kidding. Zion Williamson.
Yeah. Okay.
I nearly logged off.
Yeah,
Zion is the first overall pick.
I almost said unfollow us on Twitter, but
I know Hayden's a big Jackson Hayes guy.
I like Jackson Hayes.
He's good.
Hayes guy. I
I
am a
don't love
Jackson.
him, but I think he's going to be. I'll get to Jackson Hayes. He's in my lottery.
Oh yes.
Okay. Well, I've also got Zion Williamson. I don't think it's very hard. I think that maybe he entices Anthony Davis to stay, but I don't think that's probably going to happen.
Probably
Regardless of whether or not that happens, I think that he can fill in for Anthony Davis when he's gone relatively well. So I think Zion Williamson is the clear number 1 overall pick here.
The easy number 1 pick is Jackson Hayes. No, no, it's Zion.
Get off my screen.
Zion's definitely the best player in the draft, in my opinion. Looking at it right now, and definitely you could look at it in 2 years and be like, "Why are we so big on this guy?" Whenever someone else, like remember how Donovan Mitchell was. I mean, everyone thought, this guy's probably gonna be good, and then he came out his first year and he really played well. And now I don't think R.J. Barrett. It could be R.J. Barrett. But the same thing. No one was really expecting him to be the best player in the draft, and I don't think any of us would argue now that he probably was the best player in that draft.
Mm-hmm.
So that draft didn't have a Zion, but right now I think he's the clear cut best player in the draft right now. So Zion.
As much as I joke about the draft lottery being a Zion Williamson show, there's a reason it was the Zion Williamson show. He's clearly the best player.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that I think that he deserved all the hype in that, but that's a different story for a different day. I think we can go ahead.
Like you said before we started recording, it's disrespectful to all the other teams, or not to all but to all the teams there, to all the other players there, when all you focus on is Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that he's got all that hype around him, but I don't know. I didn't like it at all. I was, after the Dallas pick came in at number 9 and number 10. I think it was number 10.
Yep.
Yeah, number 10. I was like, whatever. I'm done.
Yeah,
of course, I watched the rest of it, but
some perspective from other players or about other players, but it's okay. Yeah. I think we should hear more about them during the draft, and that's why we have mock drafts like this, so we can learn about other players as well. So But I think all of our number 2 picks are probably probably the same. Maybe Ian or I don't know. I've got Ja Morant. Sounds like I read that the Grizzlies are probably locked in on him, assuming they keep the pick. And
the Mike Conley replacement.
Don't tell me. Oh man, yeah. I think they could trade Mike Conley. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think that would necessarily be like they need to trade Mike Conley. He's a good player, but I think Ja Morant, if you get him,
right. He's the franchise leader.
Room for both.
Steals and 3-pointers.
No, let Ja, because I agree. I have Ja Morant at number 2 going to Memphis too, but let him play under Mike Conley for a year. Let him learn from Mike Conley. He's getting old. I don't know if he's talked about retirement at all. I don't know if he's gotten to that point. But I know he's older, and he may be starting to consider it. And so if he feels like maybe it's his time to go, because we both think that he's not a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's much of a discussion there. But that doesn't mean he's not a good player to learn from. I think he's a very seasoned player. He's probably a smart player. So I think it'd be good for Ja to play under him for a year, and then maybe Mike Conley can move on. He can retire, and then Ja starts to take that team over as the point guard of the future.
I think he's a good player. I think Ja Morant's one of those guys. You go ahead and stick him in, let him learn from playing, and give him experience right away. But I do think Mike Conley right now has a little bit of trade value for teams like maybe Phoenix or I don't know what other teams out there might want a point guard, but I think he has a little bit of trade value now. I think if you wait for him to age a little more, he might not have the same trade value. But regardless, I think that they need to pick Ja Morant. I think he's the second best player in this draft. And him and Jaren Jackson, I think that those two together for the future, that's a really good duo.
Yeah. Oh, Hayden, before you make your pick, I got some constructive criticism about our one of our big fans, Arash, up in Arkansas this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he said he's watched a lot of them, and he's like, if Hayden doesn't stop just looking down and looking uninterested when everyone's talking, I'm going to stop watching it.
I was just...
we should get Arash on the show at some point.
No thanks.
Arash, I got your back if you ever watch this. That's my boy.
I'm sure it will.
All right, Hayden, who's your second pick?
It's RJ.
It's Ja Morant.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ja Morant learned from my boy Michael.
Oh, you know him like that.
I know him like that, yeah.
Okay.
My boy Michael Conley. And I agree with Kennedy. I could see them playing both at the same time because they don't really.
Oh yeah. That's not. I wasn't saying they were going to play both at the same time. I'm just saying he's a good guy to have to learn from.
I agree. Because the thing that Ja needs to work on more than anything, I would say, is perimeter shooting and defending.
Yeah.
And Mike Conley is a smart defender. He's not the most athletic person ever, but yeah. IQ is pretty high, so
he's going to be real fun to watch. I think both of those top 2 picks are going to make their teams a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
I agree.
Oh, hey, I've got a hot take for you.
Okay.
I think Ja Morant is going to end up being a better player than Mike Conley.
I don't think that's much of a hot take. I agree.
Yeah.
I do, but especially if you said that he's like a little Westbrook.
Yeah.
I think that if he has
his explosiveness and his athleticism is unreal.
Yeah. He might be a smarter Westbrook, and hopefully he's a better shooting Westbrook. That would be real fun.
I hope so. That's not tough to do.
Yeah. All right.
You could probably put Hayden out there and he'd be a better shooter than Westbrook, so that's saying something.
No. Well, my third pick, and I think maybe all of our third picks are R.J. Barrett. That's my pick in New York. Although, if somehow New York packaged that to what was it, the Pelicans?
AD. Yeah.
Got AD. It would be kind of fun to see him and Zion Williamson on the same team again. That's a possibility, I think, if they can package a good enough trade, better than anyone else's. But regardless, of who picks him, it's going to be R.J. Barrett third. I think this is a 3-man draft class.
I agree.
That third person is R.J. Barrett, regardless of what order you want to put it. It's him.
We need to get some disagreement going because I agree with you totally. I think RJ. If he got traded to the Pelicans, that would be so much fun to watch them in the NBA play together.
That would be Duke fans' favorite team.
It would be for sure. I think a lot of Duke fans are already going to migrate to the Pelicans.
Probably.
But if they don't, I think New York could be a really fun place for RJ to play. It's a huge market.
Yeah.
I think he probably wants to be a huge market player. He kind of got outshined. I'm not outshined isn't the right word. Zion kind of took over the spotlight, and RJ was still consistent as can be. But you've got Zion on your team. And we just talked about how the draft lottery was. Just it's a Zion show, and it was the same thing at Duke.
Yeah.
So I think he's really going to shine when he gets his own team. He's got one of the NBA's biggest markets, and I think he's going to eat it up. So if he doesn't get traded, I think that's going to be an awesome place for him to play.
For as much as R.J. Barrett also got a lot of hate for not being an incredible shooter, most of Duke actually got that same hate. I think that his jump shot has quite a bit of potential. I shouldn't say quite a bit, but I think he has shooting potential. My biggest problem with him as a shooter was that he just didn't use his legs enough. If you passed it to him in the motion, if he was running down the court in transition and you gave him the shot, a lot of the time he made those shots because he got his legs into it. I think that that's going to be something that the Knicks or whatever team picks him or trades for him, I think that that's going to be something they're going to hopefully emphasize, and he could be a great shooter, and he could end up being relatively good compared to guys like John Morant and Zion Williamson. He could be in that conversation.
It's smooth. It looks smooth, from up, like waist up.
Absolutely.
I think he's a better shooter than you guys give him credit for. I think we already talked about that.
I don't think he's a better shooter now, but I think he could be.
He could be.
I might even say he will be.
He was a bad shooter at Duke.
I don't think he was that. He wasn't great. He wasn't as good as he was expected to be, but I don't think he
couldn't hit the broadside of a barn some days. Go back and watch. Okay.
His free throws needed to improve too, but that's not a hard fix.
This is where it gets interesting. Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm.
It depends who you have. I know who we have.
Yeah, I know who he has.
I don't know.
I know who I have, and I know who y'all have. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna.
All right.
Guess.
Can we say it on the count of three?
All right.
Sure.
All right. 1, 2, 3. DeAndre Hunter.
All right.
Yeah.
But based on team need.
Yeah, I don't think that the Lakers have a abundance of guys who can't shoot the basketball, and I think DeAndre Hunter comes in and fixes that problem. He also plays defense, and he's a guy that LeBron feeds off of, or he doesn't feed. He feeds the guys who can shoot and play perimeter offense, and so I think that he's one of those spot up shooters that LeBron can dish the ball out to. I don't think DeAndre Hunter is actually the fourth best player in this draft.
I agree.
I think that
he's not.
Sixth.
He's not.
I think he's good, but I think that he's definitely a need, position need pick and a skill set.
He's a good fit for LA.
Yeah.
Don't rule that out as being a packaged pick to the Pelicans either.
But I'm not even talking about. All I keep hearing is that the Pelicans won't trade with the Lakers. My thing is, I think the Lakers are going to trade back, but that's just my opinion.
Oh,
why won't the
Pelicans
trade with the Lakers?
For my boy, that rim runner.
Yeah, I think that you could also see them maybe try to trade this pick for Bradley Beal.
I could see that.
I think that would be a kind of a fun pick and a fun pairing for LeBron.
Yeah,
it's
that would
just
be
a matter of who are they giving up to get Bradley Beal? That's my thing.
Probably you have to put Brandon Ingram in there.
And I don't know if you do that, though. I don't think you do that.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think that there's anyone at the fourth pick who, what would you say, Kuzma or I think you have to give someone valuable.
I do Kuzma, but right now maybe I could be alone on this. I don't know if I'd trade Brandon Ingram for Bradley Beal straight up.
I would.
I don't know if I'd do that.
I don't love Brandon Ingram. I think he's actually a lot better than I thought he would be. I didn't think that he was going to be that good, but I still don't love his ability, and I don't think that he's going to be as good as Bradley Beal.
I think he's still got time to evolve, and I like the direction he's going in.
Exactly. He literally until he was. But the thing with Brandon Ingram now is he has that health issue, whatever it was. Yeah, something like that. Blood clots, yeah. But after the All-Star break, until he was shut down for the season, while LeBron was out, he was the best player by far. Actually, because like you, Kennedy, for sure, if we would have been doing this, 6 months ago, I think I'd be more with you. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it depends on what direction the Lakers really want to go. Do they want to try and squeeze out the last couple of years or whatever of LeBron's prime or whatever, or do they want to keep on building for after the prime?
Do you think that Brandon Ingram and that fourth pick for Bradley Beal and their pick would be an appropriate trade?
Where do they pick?
Ninth?
I would do that. Yeah.
You do that? Okay.
Yeah.
You would do that?
Yeah.
I think that would be more fair. But I think that Brandon Ingram probably has to be included in the trade.
Probably. I just feel like LA, if they're giving up their pick and they're giving up who I think is going to be a budding star in Brandon Ingram, I think you need more in return than just Bradley Beal.
That's fair. Well, fifth, this might be where we defer a little bit. Maybe.
Probably.
You what?
Probably not.
Probably not. All right, I got Jarrett Culver.
I got Jarrett Culver. All right. Let's go.
Hey.
Oh. Interesting.
I think he's the best non-point guard at this pick.
I do too, but
I think that the reason I don't have them getting a point guard, obviously they got why am I blanking on his name?
Colin Sexton.
Colin Sexton last season, and so I don't think that they're going to go point guard just because they have no real reason to.
What?
No, I think Jarrett Culver would be great in Cleveland. I think he fits the need that they have. You were such a Cleveland fan.
I think that if I were Cleveland, I would look to maybe trade down just because I don't love his fit. He's not a great shooter. Colin Sexton isn't an incredible shooter either.
Interesting.
But both of them have the ability to develop their jump shot. I just think at this point, they're probably going to have to get the best talent that they see. I think Jarrett Culver is probably that talent. But unless they want another point guard.
No,
because of how top
point guard.
You don't want a point guard?
No. Do y'all both have Jarrett Culver?
Yep.
Interesting. I have Cam Reddish.
Oh, that's high.
That's very high. But that's not a bad pick, actually.
No, it's not.
I have Cam Reddish because
positionally, at least.
Yeah. I think he's a better player than what he showed at Duke this year. I don't think he adjusted well to being the third or fourth option or sometimes even fifth option. I mean, what's-his-face would get the ball inside more than I feel like Cam Reddish would have the ball. Marquise Bolden, is that who started for them?
Yeah, the center.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think going to Cleveland, Colin Sexton, for me, I don't think he is their point guard of the future. And I think Cam Reddish, out of anyone that's left, has the most star potential.
Okay. That's fair. I'm pretty high on his potential, but I think his floor is also pretty low just based on what we saw at Duke. I think I was – and I'm glad I was disappointed because North Carolina, as a North Carolina fan, I love seeing Duke fail. But I wouldn't mind seeing him succeed. I don't mind seeing any Duke player succeed once they get to the NBA. And he's one of those guys. I think that he has that potential that you're talking about. He's got a smooth jump shot. It just needs to get more consistent. His handles are actually pretty solid, and his length is pretty good too. I think I completely agree with you. I wouldn't be incredibly surprised to see him end up in Cleveland because of what you said. So that's actually a pretty creative pick. I like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't like saying that actually. That kind of hurt just coming out of my mouth, giving me props. But
that sounded really weird.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Well, I guess we're at the 6th pick, right?
Yes.
Well, let me go ahead and start on this one because I love this player I'm about to say. I love him. Absolutely love him. And it's been a long time since my school has produced
he's a fucking
NBA
Kobe White. God
player
damn it.
who's actually worth it. But Kobe White is going to be awesome in the NBA. And I think, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he's the 4th best player in this draft. That's right. 4th best player. But neither the 4th or 5th best team, or the worst teams, I should say, the 4th or 5th pick, need a point guard. However, is it Phoenix in this pick?
Suns.
Phoenix needs a point guard pretty badly. And I think that him and Devin Booker could both be really good. Kobe White also, he's someone who can do work with or without the ball. He's great with catch and shoot. He's great with coming off of screens. He's done a lot of everything at North Carolina, and so Kobe White is going to be that 6th overall pick. I'm really high on this guy.
I don't really mind that pick at all.
And it's been high. It's been a long time since I've been high on a North Carolina draft pick.
Yeah, I think Kobe White's going to be good in the NBA. So I'm not gonna hate on that at all. It's not the pick I have. This is our first disagreement, but wouldn't surprise me because they do need a point guard bad.
Very bad. Very bad.
But I think if I'm Phoenix, it depends on what direction they're going. If they're thinking, let's start winning some ball games, I think maybe you look at a more seasoned point guard that you can convince to come play in Phoenix.
Okay.
And I think that would probably be the better organizational decision if that's what they want to do. I don't know a whole lot about Phoenix, so I don't know if they're planning on we're still going to work on putting this together if they want to start winning some ball games.
Yeah.
And if you're right, if they're still putting it together, then I think Kobe White's a good fit. But if not, I think you go with a more seasoned point guard.
Yeah.
So
and I'll tell you, I guess I have Darius Garland.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the favorite pick. I think that's probably the favorite pick to go there.
Probably. I'm just a little higher on Kobe White personally, and I think over time that scouts will start to see that too. That's just my personal opinion. His athleticism as far as speed and quickness, I think, is really good, and he's got a good jump shot. He can get to the rim and finish. His handles need a little bit of work. I think he's a good handler, but sometimes he can be a little too loose, and his defense probably will need some work. But overall, I think his handles will get better, and his defense, no one plays great defense, so I'm not sure that will really drive teams away from him. It's not a complete liability. But Hayden, who's your pick?
I have Kobe White as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm not high on Darius Garland. I think as a lot of other people are. I think Phoenix already has some guys that are kind of they took a shot on, and it's not really working out. They had Dragon Bender. I don't even know if y'all remember who that is.
Yep.
But he's buried on that bench now. They had Marquise Chris, who they traded to Cleveland. Josh Jackson has been so up and down.
Offensively.
What?
I said he's pretty bad offensively.
Yeah. I think the medical issues with Darius Garland kind of concern me a little bit. And then I just think Kobe White is the more, kind of safe point guard.
Okay.
Few things.
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to start this with just apologizing. You can give me shit for this. And I'd also like to preface that with saying I put this list together before we started. But I thought Darius Garland was a shooting guard, and I didn't know Kobe White was 6'5". So I'd like to change my pick, please.
Kobe White.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'll take that as an argument win.
Sorry, you win. Sorry.
Now we have the same picks again, Ian.
Yeah, we do. I'm sorry.
Well, that might continue here because I have Darius Garland going to Chicago. More so, I think it's similar reasons. He's a pretty good shooter. Actually, his shooting percentage in his 5 games that he played was pretty solid. It was like 47% or something like that. And Chicago obviously needs a point guard. They could really go with anything, honestly. But point guard, I think, would probably be a good position. Chris Dunn isn't doing it just yet. I don't know if he ever will. And so I'm going Darius Garland with the Chicago Bulls pick.
Yep. Me too. I don't know if I'd do that if I had more time to do this, but I had Kobe White going to the Bulls, so I'm just going to switch it because I don't really want to take time to adjust. But, yeah, I'll go with – for the same reason you said, they do need a point guard. And I had them taking Kobe White. Kobe White's gone in my draft Phoenix, so I think Darius Garland's probably in their next best option. So,
Interesting.
Who do you have?
I have Romeo Langford.
Oh.
I
I
know.
don't mind that.
7? You have him going 7?
No. I said I don't.
No. Sorry, Hayden. I couldn't hear anything you said. I think it kind of froze.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little.
Oh, all right. I have Romeo Langford. He shot 27% from 3 at Indiana, but he had a torn ligament in his shooting thumb. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think, at this point, I think you have to go for, I don't want because that's number 7. I think you have to go for upside at this point because I don't think this is a, super, super talent-filled draft outside of the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've thought that before, and then, like Ian said, even before the show, or maybe it was at the beginning with Donovan Mitchell, kind of, no one expected him to be, quote unquote, the best player from that draft, but
just how it plays out.
Possibly, yeah.
I have Romeo Langford because I think it's a lot easier to attract a free agent point guard to Chicago than it would be to Phoenix.
Isn't his first name Romeo?
His name is Romeo.
I think it's Romeo.
Romeo.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing, but I think it's Romeo.
Yeah, Romeo.
Man.
I guess that's Plus,
Romeo.
I think he's.
That's cool, right?
Yeah,
that's why I remembered it. I think that's a cool first name.
That's incredible. Well,
Plus, he can play forward. So, I don't know how sold I am on Otto Porter being like, the wing in Chicago. But, yeah.
Yeah. I actually do like Romeo Langford. I just haven't seen him going as high as 7th on most people's mocks. Not that I really care about most people's mocks.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're high on him because I thought I was one of the only people who thought he had really good potential. Maybe not one of the only people. He was ranked pretty highly in the high school class that he came from.
Yeah. He was I think he was in the top 3, wasn't he? Or he was 4 if he wasn't in the top 3.
It was, I think what I remember on the 24/7 composite, it was R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, then Nas Little, then Bol Bol, and then Zion. So I think Romeo Langford was 1 or 2 picks after that, I want to say.
He was top 8 though, for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely top 8. He might have been 8 actually.
And he definitely was considered one of the best pure scorers.
Oh yeah. His scoring ability is great.
Yeah.
I actually had because of his. I was really high on him coming into college, but he played poorly.
Mhm.
So
I
I
agree.
actually I have him. I took him outside of the top 14.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's not because I think
And
he's got
I could see
very,
it.
very,
Sure.
very high potential. I think he's can be a really good player in the NBA, but I just don't think he's going to go with one of the lottery picks.
Okay.
I could definitely see it for sure. Like I said, it was kind of a out there pick, but I mean, I
I
also
don't disagree with it at all. I think
had Cam Reddish at 5, so
true. You're taking a
and the
hot take.
highest.
I'll say your mock draft is probably more interesting than mine and Ian's.
Yeah.
But I guess 8th then. Ian, you might disagree with me on this one.
We probably do.
Because I'm getting tired of agreeing with you.
Yeah,
But
I think we disagree.
I've got Cam Reddish going to Atlanta with the was it the 8th pick?
Yep.
Yep. So I like everything that you said, Hayden. I think he's got great potential. Good length, good shooting ability, or good shooting mechanics, I should say, that could develop into good shooting ability. I think his handles are solid. I just think that he needs probably more consistency. I think his motor was questioned a little bit. I think some people even have him going further later in the draft, and I don't think he should go past Atlanta. I don't think they need scores.
I saw him close to 15.
Yeah, I think that's a little crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about it when I get to his pick, but yeah. At number 8, I have Hayden's boy, Jackson Hayes.
Okay.
I really wanted to see his reaction, but he's frozen.
Hello?
Hey, did you hear me?
Oh, who'd you say?
Jackson Hayes. Your boy going to Atlanta.
At 8?
Yeah. Your boy going to Atlanta.
Oh!
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Let's go.
I thought you'd dig that. I thought you'd dig it.
All right. Okay.
Texas guy.
So,
I got to go Texas guy.
again, mine's different.
Good.
Sweet. Let's do this.
I don't even know how you say this. Sakau Diwambaya.
Oh, yeah. William Baya, I think. I may have just put that.
I don't know how to say his name, so yeah, you did good.
I dropped him way low because I didn't want to be the first one to say his name.
He's 18. He's raw, but he has potential to develop into a stretch type forward that can play offense and defense.
That sounds like. That sounds like this guy that came out of Greece a while back.
Stop.
Who?
Sounds like that guy.
About the Greek god of the paint, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, but yeah, except the Greek freak can't shoot. But anyway.
That's why he's the Greek god of the paint. He doesn't care about shooting.
Oh, so yeah. I have Sakawi Diambo.
Boys, we've almost been on for an hour. We gotta start blowing through this.
Yeah.
I think part of that includes our time before, but you're right. 9th, I'm gonna go with Romeo Langford. I had him 2 spots behind you, Hayden. And actually, you mentioned pretty much everything I was going to mention about. I think his jump shot is probably better than people would probably assume just looking at his stats. That shooting, that thumb injury in his shooting hand, I think really messed him up. But his shooting mechanics are great, I think. His offensive game overall is very fluid and very smooth. I love Romeo Langford a lot. I'm actually a little sad that the Mavs couldn't keep this pick because I would have loved to have picked him at 10. So
I would have included that. That'd be awesome.
No, sorry, 9.
9.
But
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to get him at 9, but
to the Wizards.
Just being in that conversation would be awesome.
Yeah. I think this is as far as Cam Reddish drops. So I've got the Wizards taking Cam at 9. I don't know how well he fits. But I think it's kind of an insult to Cam Reddish having him drop past last 10 or 9. So I'm going to say he comes off at 9 to the Wizards.
Okay.
And that's not a fit pick. That's pure potential pick. He's like you said, he was what was he 3 coming out of high school?
He was
Yes.
2.
He was 2. Okay, yeah. So he was 2 coming out of high school. So you know he's a good player, and he didn't play poorly at Duke, but I said I wasn't going to say RJ was outshined. Cam was outshined by the other 2 at Duke. And that's not due to a lack of potential. That's due to a lack of, I don't know, I guess availability. There was so much, there was so much talent on that team, and he just didn't really fit well. But I think he'll be a really good NBA player.
Yeah.
All right. I have Brandon Clark from Gonzaga.
That's
I
high.
don't even have him in mind.
Yeah, that's really high.
I have Brandon Clark.
Do you have Jarrett Culver at all?
I do have Jared Culver, yes.
Has he
He's
gone
still
to
on
yours?
the board? Oh, he's still on the board.
Jared Culver is still on the board, yes.
Oh,
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I'm actually not that high on Jarrett Culver myself, but I think some other people might. That's why I have him going so high.
I'm really high on Jarrett Culver, and if the Mavericks got 4, I would have hoped to God they picked him.
If they got 4, Kobe White would have been my pick. That's right.
Get out of here.
Why is this happening?
You're frozen again.
Hello.
Yeah, you're
I
back.
can hear
You're
you
back.
now.
My gosh. Okay, I have Brandon Clark. He became the first Division I player in over 25 years to average 16 points, 3 blocks a game, and 65% from the fields. Yes.
Try to make it sound like you're not reading stats.
No, I mean I'm literally reading what his stat was. The first Division I player in over.
No, don't read it. Don't read it. Make me believe that you already know that stat.
Hayden, I believed you.
I didn't believe a damn thing.
22. Yes, he's 22. He's older than a lot of other lottery prospects. Blah 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 blah.
He's our age.
Yeah, he makes an immediate impact.
Don't say that.
On the offensive end and defensively, and I think the Wizards still theoretically want to compete.
Okay.
So I have them taking Brandon Clark.
All right. Well, 10th. What are we on? The Hawks?
Atlanta pick.
Okay. Ian, I've got Jackson Hayes. You have him going to Atlanta as well. I just have him going 2 spots later.
We both.
And
hey, so look at that. We're consistent.
Yeah. No, I actually like Jackson Hayes. I don't love Jackson Hayes. I like him. I don't love him like you, Hayden. But I think that his athleticism is pretty good. His shot blocking is really good. He'll probably be a good rim protector and a good rebounder. I'm not quite certain of his offensive potential or not, but I think that Atlanta gets a good offensive guy with Cam Reddish, and they already have Trae Young. I think they need another big man, and Jackson Hayes is someone who I think offers a lot of defensive upside. That's something that I think is very necessary, and I think that Atlanta's going to go ahead and bite on that on the 10th pick.
I have Jackson Hayes going to the Atlanta Hawks. And Yes!
That's right.
I may be alone in mine. I have PJ Washington going to Atlanta.
All right.
Best Kentucky player, solid 3-point shooter.
Huh?
I know it's high.
You want to talk about not having Brandon Clark in the lottery?
I know it's high.
Woo.
But I liked watching him play. So I liked watching him play. I think he's going to transition to a good. He's going to be a good shooter in the NBA. Kennedy's staring bullets through me. But yeah, PJ Washington. That's all the explaining you get. And you're going to hate my next one too. Can I just keep it rolling?
Go ahead.
Okay. At 11, I have Rui Hachimura.
Okay. I've seen him go 11 at some other mocks.
No way.
Yeah, no,
No
I'm not
way.
super surprised by that, but I think he's good. I'm not super high on him myself, but I think he's good.
I'm not either, but it's Minnesota. How it's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Minnesota is all right. Well, mine. This might be a little bit of a reach, but I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Tyler Hero going to Minnesota. And yeah. Dude, Tyler, look, he's underrated. I want y'all to know that he's underrated.
I agree.
Look, I think that people look at him and don't think that he's going to be a good NBA player, but when you look at his numbers, he's more than just a three-point shooter than what we probably would just assume by watching highlights of his. He can do more than shoot three-pointers, and we saw him average about 15 points a game. I forgot he was a freshman. I thought he was a little older, but he was just a freshman. He was taking that team, doing great things with them, making them a Final Four contender until they lost to, was it Auburn? Yeah, I'm big on Tyler Hero here. I think he's going to go 11th to Minnesota, add a three-point shooter to that team, and maybe just an overall other scorer.
Yes.
While I was putting my list together, when I was kind of like, because I have a lot of on my list that I kind of scratched out and moved. When I got the number 11, I wrote down Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
And I had him there too. And then I looked at the people that I didn't have in my list yet, and I pushed him out of the top 14.
Okay. Dang.
But just to go to show you, I don't necessarily disagree with that pick.
Okay. I really like Tyler Hero. Hayden, who do you have? Did you already say yours?
I have.
No, he had
Rui Hachimura.
Get off.
I love the way he plays. I love the way he plays.
Yeah, of course you do. He takes mid-range jump shots. That's your
awesome. Awesome. Also, I
don't
didn't want to do this anymore because Kennedy made me realize that I'm now too old to get drafted into the NBA. I officially missed the cut, boys. We all missed the cut. It's over.
No, lottery picks.
I can't be. I don't want to get drafted in the second round.
I should be in the NBA right now, but
Floyd Jalen Brunson.
What was that? Was it 3 picks left?
Yeah, 12 Nasir Little.
Yes.
You have Nasir Little going 12?
Yeah, dude. Because he's going to be a good NBA player, God damn it.
Stop it.
Look, Ian.
And I know I knew I was going to take shit for this because I blasted y'all for doing Romeo Langford because of potential, and I didn't have him in mind. But I buy into that.
Look, Nasir Little. Let me tell you something, Hayden. Or not Hayden. I'll tell you too, Hayden. But Ian, I'm telling you. Look, for as much love as I had for Kobe White, because I absolutely love Kobe White, Nasir Little, I watched too much of Nasir Little. Every time I watched him, I wanted to throw up. It was sickening. Absolutely sickening. You know what?
He's just mad blew in college.
Because he what?
You're just mad because he blew in college. He's going to be a good NBA player.
No, he was bad in college. He's not going to be good in the NBA. You know why? Because he has no skill. He has athleticism. The only thing that he got points off of generally were buckets under the basket or from transition. He's a good transition player. He's not a good defender. He's not a good shooter. He's not a good handler of the basketball. He can't create his own jump shot, or he can't create shots for other people. He doesn't do anything with the basketball or off the basketball. He only runs in transition, which is good. That's a good skill set to have, especially at North Carolina. But I don't think that he's good at all. He could be good. He has the measurables for it. But I think there's too much for him to have to grow in to be picked 12th. Personally, I'm going to go ahead and say it. And maybe North Carolina fans won't love me saying this, but I'm going to go. I'm high enough on Kobe White to where I think this will outweigh the negatives. I think Nasir. I wouldn't pick him in the first round. Personally, I think that he's that overrated. I thought he was that overrated. Not that overrated coming out of high school.
Maybe end of the first round.
End of the first round. I wouldn't cringe if he was picked in that 20-ish range. But me personally, I wouldn't pick him until
I agree.
maybe late first round.
Don't get me wrong. I am so with you. It's disgraceful that you crossed out Tyler Harrow to put in Nasir Little.
To all my Carolina friends and fellows, I'm sorry.
Nasir Little. Did you watch college basketball?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm done. I have
To be fair, I did not watch a ton of North Carolina. So I'm taking all of Kennedy. I know you did. So I'm taking all of Kennedy's opinions into play here because I know he watched them more than me. But on the other hand, anything he does wrong repeatedly is going to be heavily scrutinized by Kennedy because it affects the team he's cheering for. So obviously, if he does things wrong,
I'm scrutinizing him, and I'd rather see Duke win than UNC. No offense, I'm sorry.
You scrutinize everybody.
That's a little too far, Hayden.
What do you mean I scrutinize everybody? I just said Jackson Hayes is like my favorite player in the draft.
Yeah, you pick guys, and then you just load shit onto the people that you have not picked as your guys. Kennedy, come on.
Derek Culver at number 12 to the Charlotte Hornets.
That's just if you want to talk about disgraceful, that's disgraceful. I cannot believe you have him at 12.
12. You want to know what he did in the? You want to know what he did in the national championship?
Nothing.
He struggled.
He didn't do anything in the last few games, to be honest.
Sweet 16 was the last time he really showed up, I think. If I remember right.
Hayden's is freezing. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, I wish he'd just stay frozen, honestly. Hold on.
That was a great face. We have new profile pictures. His
that is what Jarrett Culver did in not only the Final Four. Matt Moody saved them in the Final Four, and not enough people talk about that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then, so Jarrett Culver is saved by his teammate, has a chance to redeem himself in the national championship.
I wanted to see them win, but I agree with Hayden. I don't think he's as good as everyone wants to hype them up. That said, I think his potential is going to be good enough to get him picked at Cleveland. And 12 isn't I don't know. I would probably pick him top 10 personally, but it's whatever. My 13th pick for Miami is Sekou.
Let's go! I don't have to say his name.
Diambo. Hey.
Like same reasons as you. I don't really need to get into it that much, but I think he's raw. It's a position need for them.
Yep.
I think he's a good inside player, and Miami really, Miami could use anything, honestly, but I think that he gives them a good potential guy down the road. I don't think they're in any real rush to get relevant just yet. And so this goes along with their timeline, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. Same pick. I'm not going to say his name.
Okay. This is as far as Darius Garland falls for me.
Whoa, you forgot. I didn't even realize.
I have him at 13 to the Miami Heat. Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that. Let's
move on. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, Brandon Clark, 14. Continue.
14?
Yeah, Brandon Clark.
You know who I have?
Brandon Clark. Come on.
Bol. Yeah, I got Bol going to Boston. I love Bol. I just think
he'd be a really good fit for Boston, I think.
I think so, too. I think if he falls that far, his potential is as good as anyone in the top 5 besides Zion, of course, and I guess probably besides John Morant. But I don't know. He could even be as good as John Morant, actually. He just needs to stay healthy. But everything that he showed in his little bit of time at Oregon, his good offensive ability, his good shooting, his 7'8" wingspan, I'm pretty sure it is. I think that I have a hard time seeing him falling that far in the draft, and I think that Boston would be a good fit for him. I think they could use. They've been wanting, I think, a better rim protector than Al Horford for a while. Yeah, and so I don't see him falling that much further than Boston here.
That'd be you know what? I'm kind of on board with that because you're Boston. You're a good team. So you're a solid team. Depending on what Kyrie's up to. But
Bye.
take a swing. And if you connect on that, it's a home run. And if you don't, you strike out, but you're still a good team. So it's not really going to be franchise altering. So I'm with that. I think that's a solid pick.
I also think that with Al Horford, you don't have to rush Bol on the court. You have time to be able to wait for him. It's my opinion, but and who's your 14th pick? Darius Garland at 12. Jarrett Culver at 12 and Darius Garland at 13. Get this over with.
I don't even want to listen. I'll do that.
Tyler Herro to the Boston Celtics.
I'm with that.
I like that.
Snaps.
Everything that Kennedy said, I agree with, obviously.
Obviously, of course.
Because I think Kyrie's gone, to be honest. But,
I think so too.
And Marcus Smart is a free agent, I believe. And so is Terry Rozier.
Terry Rozier said he's gone.
They keep everyone, which they probably won't.
That is not, a necessary back. I have Tyler Herro.
Did you hear him?
And did you hear a word that he just said?
I did not hear a single word.
I didn't hear what he just said.
What? I am so done with. Oh my gosh!
It's probably garbage. Anyway, we can just move on.
Basically, the Boston Celtics potentially could have 0 guards, and they need a guard to play basketball. There you go.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Moving on.
We have a few more topics. We'll try to keep them a little short, but what we have next, since we're talking about the draft, the Pelicans will probably get Zion Williamson. Now, what do we think that impact will be for the Pelicans? Do we think that Zion Williamson will make them a playoff team? Do we think that they'll still struggle to get in? How good do we think that the Pelicans will be with Zion Williamson?
I'll go last on my wonderful.
Okay. I'm kind of spitballing. Mine's probably not going to be as put together as you guys. But the Pelicans won 33 games this year. The 8th-seeded Clippers won 48. And the West is only going to get better. So you've got to win close to –
Go ahead.
Okay, but let's say you've got to win close to 20 more games to make the playoffs, right? Close to.
Mm-hmm.
Does Zion Williamson win you 20 more games? I don't think so.
I think you also need to take into consideration that Anthony Davis missed a good chunk of the season, and there was also that drama that they had to deal with. Also, Drew Holiday, I think, sat a good amount of the season as well because of the same drama, maybe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But so I think that they're maybe a little bit better than their record indicates, but I don't necessarily disagree with your take either.
Yeah. So are we saying do we think the Pelicans are going to be better next year? Or the team as is, if you add Zion Williamson, are they better? Because I don't think AD is going to be there next year.
AD's gone.
That's part of the discussion, I think.
AD's gone.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Just coming from everyone that I know and, that has connections to that ownership group, AD's gone. AD's gone.
Okay. So I think we all agree on that. AD's gone. So is Zion going to be an improvement next year? Is Zion going to be better than Anthony Davis? No.
Okay, thank you. I was about to say, woo!
No, they're not. So I don't – okay, if the team's healthy, sure, they'll be better. Maybe they'll win 35, 36, 37 instead of 33, but I don't think they're a playoff team.
Okay. Well, I think that if Anthony Davis were to stay, just hypothetically, I think that they would flirt with the playoffs with Drew Holiday himself and
Yep.
Anthony Davis. I don't think Julius Randle is going to stay. I'm treating him as a free agent because he has a player's option with 9 million or so. I think he's going to want to get more money, and so I think he's gone. I think that with the limited cap space that they have, they might be able to add one more wing, preferably a shooter, because that team that I just listed, those three players, isn't really a good shooting team. But
Yeah.
I do think that they flirt with the playoffs. I don't think what I think Zion Williamson is a bigger, faster, stronger, not as good of a shooter, but a way better defender version of Julius Randle. And I think that he makes them better, but I don't necessarily think that he puts them in the playoffs, especially if Anthony Davis is gone, which I'm assuming he will be. However, if you could get good picks for Anthony Davis now and in the future, and maybe even if you trade Drew Holiday for some good picks, that might be a good team to be able to build for the future with,
Yeah.
if you traded Zion Williamson for the third overall pick, Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith, something like that. Those are young players that you have, plus RJ Barrett coming in. And I actually like Kevin Knox quite a bit. Dennis Smith Jr. might be a little weird of a fit on that team, but basically what I'm saying, I think that they could get a good package for Anthony Davis. Maybe that wouldn't get them wins now, but I think that down the road you could get some talent with Zion Williamson based on whatever you get for Zion Williamson or Anthony Davis.
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah,
I think we're all
you said up
we're all
until
basic. Frozen. Hayden?
huh?
I think there's a lag because I hear myself echoing, and then I don't know.
Well, what were you saying, Hayden? You said you
go
disagreed
ahead,
with me until what?
That I agree with everything you said up until the point that you mentioned, Kevin Knox building for the future. I don't think Kevin Knox is a good prospect, but
I think he's decent.
that's just me. I'm just counting AD is gone, and
Yep.
I'm hearing that Boston is at the top of that list right now, but the Pelicans want Jason Tatum.
Okay. Oh,
So,
I'd do that if I'm Boston.
but
New Orleans.
if Boston doesn't
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
Kyrie,
Uh-huh.
so you would do that as New Orleans or Boston?
I do it as both. I don't like if you're Boston. I understand what you're giving up, but look what you're getting in return. Like you're getting a player who's talked about as being the best player in the NBA down the road.
Who?
Anthony Davis.
Okay. Okay. I think. Well, so do you think that Kyrie would consider returning to Boston if that trade happened?
I do.
Yes. Yeah, that's different. But unless the Celtics get Anthony Davis, Kyrie's gone.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that if just hypothetically, if Zion Williamson stayed and they add a wing, I think that's actually I think that's a 7th or 8th seed. Personally, I think they're better than the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers will be that good this season unless they get Kawhi, which I don't think they will. Personally, I think that he'll stay with Toronto, but we'll see. I don't know.
It's really tough to speculate where teams are going to be before free agency starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but I just personally don't see why you would go from Toronto, who, although they're down 1-0, they still could go and win the championship. I don't think they will, but they could. And going from that team to the Clippers, I don't know. I just
Other than market, it makes no sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not like he'll have that much help there anyway. But
yeah.
Speaking of free agency, the Dallas Mavericks, our local team, and a lot of the followers that we have are in Texas. We
but not
Did
Hayden.
not get a pick. The Dallas Mavericks did not get a pick, but the Dallas Mavericks have cap space, and so what we have to discuss here is what the Mavericks should do with that cap space, what their offseason strategy should be.
I'll let y'all go first.
Actually, I just want to go ahead and start because
y'all are the Mavericks people here.
We are Mavs fans, and I'm very proud of that. I know that the Mavericks are linked a lot to Kemba Walker and Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
My order between those two would probably be Chris Middleton, then Kemba Walker, solely because of fit. And I say that Kemba Walker is better offensively, Chris Middleton's better defensively. But I think Chris Middleton has at least proven that he can play off the ball. Kemba Walker, I'm not entirely sure that he can or can't. It's to be determined. But before those two, I have a player that I think will be better than both of them and cheaper. Malcolm Brogdon. I want Malcolm Brogdon to be a Dallas Maverick. That said, it'll be a little harder to accomplish that.
He's not going anywhere.
He's a restricted free agent. But I think that you could – there's a chance. I don't know. They'd have to evaluate this themselves. I think that with him – with the Bucks having to pay a good amount of guys, they might not necessarily be willing to pay both Malcolm Brogdon and Chris Middleton max contracts. They'll probably have to pay one or the other both max contracts. I think Malcolm Brogdon's would be about $25 million, maybe a little higher or lower. I would be willing to pay it. I would. I think that he'd fit. I think he would fit beautifully next to Luka Doncic. I think we saw what he did yesterday. He did a really good job coming back from his first game off of injury. Only 15 points, but I said that too. Hold on.
Did I
miss this?
Yeah,
you didn't miss this. Hayden and I. Basically, Hayden was saying that Brook Lopez, and props to him, Brook Lopez was going to be the X factor for the Bucks, and he was in Game 1.
Right.
I think he could be for the rest of the series, whether he was or not, or is or not. I think you're absolutely right. That was a great call. And then I have been very high on Malcolm Brogdon for a very long time, and Hayden mentioned Malcolm Brogdon as well. I'll give you a little credit.
Mentioned? Excuse me.
Hold on. I have been telling. I listed Malcolm Brogdon as my most underrated player.
You did.
Number 1. Okay.
Go ahead.
Malcolm Brogdon to me is the guy that the Dallas. Someone like him he's not a better individual player than Chris Middleton or a better individual player than Kemba Walker, but I think he's someone that you plug into any team and he makes them better because he can shoot from the perimeter, he can handle the ball and play point guard, he can play defense, he shoots and makes his free throws, he moves the ball around and plays good offensive team basketball. He's someone you need guys like him on the team, and he's a little cheaper and allows you to be able to pay for some other guys, just maybe one mid-range guy type of guy.
Damn right.
Malcolm Brogdon is my number 1. That said, I don't think that he's as attainable as Kemba Walker. I think Kemba Walker will be the pick. But those are my thoughts. Malcolm Brogdon. Dallas needs to make it happen.
The max.
So, yeah. As long as I can remember watching Dallas Mavericks basketball, other than re-signing Dirk, I can't remember the last time they consistently did what I wanted them to do.
I agree.
Or did what I expected them to do. That's just how they function as an organization, and it's really, really tough to predict. But
he's still talking.
I would not be opposed to paying Malcolm Brogdon the max.
Yeah, buddy.
I want to clarify
because I think
this could be a controversial topic outside of the three of us. But restricted free agents, you normally have to pay them more than they're generally worth anyway. That's what you had to do with Chandler Parsons, and that hitting the Mavs in the face, of course. That happens with a lot of guys, but I think that Malcolm Brogdon would be worth it personally with he's shown us this year. I think
I'm cool with him. I don't think it's going to happen.
I agree.
Chris Middleton is much, much more attainable. And I'm sorry, the dog's messing around. I'm not convinced that it would be that much, if any, worse of a pickup. I think he fit well. I think the best player out of those three is definitely Kemba Walker. And I'm just mentioning these three because I think both of us, that's where we think the Mavericks are going to go. They probably won't.
Question. You think Kemba Walker is a better player than Chris Middleton?
Yeah. Right now.
Good. Good.
I think he's a better player. The reason he's not at the top of my list is because I don't know how he fits coming off the ball. We've never seen it in the past. Chris Middleton, you kind of know what you're going to get. And Kemba, although he's a great player, you don't really know how that's going to translate onto the Mavericks with him playing off the ball or him and Luka kind of taking that duty back and forth with each other. And sure, it works with Portland. It's not going to work. It's not going to work with everybody, and it's not going to work everywhere. So for that reason, you're such a bitch, Hayden. For that reason, I hope our number one target is Chris Middleton, because I've seen in the past where we'll target somebody.
DeAndre.
I don't think's all that attainable, but we put all our eggs in one basket and then we don't get them, and then by that time everything else is gone. So I want us to just kind of focus on Chris Middleton and go grab him and bring him in, put him in a Mavs jersey.
I also would like to mention the only other reason that I have Kemba below Middleton is because of his defensive liability. I don't think he's a great defender. Luka Doncic isn't an incredible defender, but he's probably in the average range. And then Kristaps Porzingis is, I would say, a good defender, at least a good shot blocker. But I think that the team needs more defense, and so I wouldn't be mad if they got Kemba Walker. But I think that they're just better fits. And I want to hear what you have to say. You can finish this off.
It's very interesting that you brought up the defensive part, because I was just getting ready to ask y'all if, as Mavericks fans, like, you want to see people play defense. You've watched Dirk your entire lives. So
honestly, I may have just forgotten what it looks like.
I let you talk the entire time uninterrupted. Do not speak. Y'all have watched Dirk play your entire lives, so I get that y'all don't really understand this thing called defense. But, I'm glad that you mentioned the defensive fit with Kemba Kennedy, because I was just getting ready to bring up, do y'all actually want to play defense? Because Luka is not a good defender, and Kristaps is a good shot blocker, sure. But is he going to play center? If he plays center for y'all, he's going to get abused by bigger centers. So I would go, number one priority should be Malcolm Brogdon. And that's a joke that, I'm not even going to address what you said.
Do it. No, address it. Address what I said.
Are you talking about Chris Middleton
over Brogdon?
How dare you put Kemba Walker as a better player than Chris Middleton?
I mean, honestly, I don't necessarily think that that's outlandish.
Not.
What has Kemba done?
He averaged 25 points a game this season, didn't he?
Kennedy, who else shot the ball on the team?
I'm just saying, I don't even know if Chris Middleton would do that as the number one guy.
Hey, I told you I want Chris Middleton on the team.
No, I agree, but you said Kemba is a better player.
I'm not going to take. Actually, I think Chris Middleton might be a slightly better player, but I just think it's close enough to where that's not a daunting take.
Scoring is not the only thing in the NBA, right?
But it's priority.
Is that what we've come to? We don't care about anything else? Don't get me wrong. Kemba is a fantastic scorer. Yes, he is a fantastic scorer. Do not get me wrong. Sure.
And
But,
if you fit well with Luka, think about how fun that would be to watch.
He doesn't fit. He doesn't play defense.
He can play off the ball. I'm not saying they wouldn't be a defensive liability the entire team, but
They would
offensively,
allow
that would
people
be
to score
so much fun to watch if they fit.
Offensively, I think he would be a good fit. I think that personally,
defensively, I love Luka. Trust me.
Personally, what I think Kemba is a good pick and roll player. He's actually one of the better pick and roll players in the league. That's what Carlisle likes, is a pick and roll guy. Yep. Now, defensively, I think that you're a little harsh on Luka. I don't think that he's a defender, but I think he's a relatively smart defender. And Dirk actually got a lot of crap for being a bad defender in the league, but playoff Dirk was actually a relatively smart defender too. So I think that people like when someone is good at one thing or they're really good at offense, they like to point out that such and such player is a bad defender or a horrible defender. That's not always true. Dirk wasn't a great defender by any means. I'm not saying that he was even that good. I'm just saying I don't think he was. I think he was average up until he got to.
He was average in his prime, but then people only remember the past 5 years, and it's like, oh, look how slow Dirk
wasn't a good. This year's horrible.
I'm not talking about the past 5 years.
Anyway, yeah, that's fine.
Y'all are biased. It's okay. I get it.
I'm willing to admit that I could be, but I don't know. I saw plenty of times where Dirk was better on defense than he was alleged to be. But Hayden,
he's all right. He was all right.
He was. Yeah, he
I missed everything you just said.
He was all right. He could perform on defense if he really wanted to. Now, you said Brogdon is the number one target?
Yeah, I would throw the max at Brogdon.
Yeah.
I would throw the max at Brogdon. Screw it.
Don't screw it. This is such a big offseason.
That's true.
Who else are you going to attract to Dallas?
Kemba Walker.
That's the point. We have a situation where we can now attract. So look at what is attainable.
Who?
This is. I understand. I understand. You're not gonna feel this way because you haven't gone through it for 10 fucking years. I have. We go after these people who are not attainable. There's a possibility, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen. Same thing with Brogdon. We're going to throw the max at him. Milwaukee's going to say, They're going to retain him. And then what else? Those second-tier options, gone. And we're sitting there. Just sitting there like, what do we do now?
What about Tobias Harris?
Tobias Harris wouldn't be a terrible option. If he's still there. But what I'm saying
he's unrestricted.
I'm saying if he's still on the market by the time that we offer that to Brogdon.
Can you not make more than one offer to one person at a time?
Not max offers, I don't think.
Is Mark Cuban that incompetent?
If you've got that kind of money floating around out there, you've got to wait and see what happens before you can move and decide what you're doing after that point.
So what happens is if the Mavs theoretically agreed to a deal with Malcolm Brogdon, that money is locked up because they have 3 days until they match it. So we couldn't offer any other big player. And in those 3 days, Kemba Walker might be gone, Chris Middleton might be gone, Tobias Harris might be gone, Jimmy Butler. Those guys might be gone. So
it's unbelievably frustrating.
While I just hyped up Malcolm Brogdon to be the number one target, realistically, I actually agree with you, Ian. I don't think that Malcolm Brogdon is that attainable. I don't think Chris Middleton's really even that attainable. Now, maybe by the time free agency starts, that could change. Maybe the news or the rumors will show that they really might want to get out and go to a different team or bigger market or whatever. But I think Kemba Walker is the most realistic get, and I think that that's probably going to be my top realistic option. But Malcolm Brogdon, like I said, if that could happen, I want that to happen. I really do.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. If that could happen, I think that should be our number one priority. I just think when you're in the realistic realm, I think Chris Middleton's probably it. And I agree with you. If I had to pick one and say which player do the Dallas Mavericks have the best chance at getting, I'd say it'd be Kemba. But because of I'm unsure about the fit there, that's why I'm going with Chris Middleton.
Okay.
Say it. You got something. Say it.
So you would rather have Kemba Walker than Tobias Harris, Julius Randle,
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Brooke Lopez,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really want Brook Lopez.
Nikolai
either.
Mirotic,
Not really big on him.
Danny Green.
Tobias Harris is the only other one I'm kind of thinking. I'm not a big Julius Randle guy, but keep reading.
Tobias
Sorry.
Harris, maybe. Nurkic, if his leg wasn't snapped in half.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm done. I don't have anything more to give personally.
You've exhausted me.
Well, do y'all want to end it here?
I don't know. Maybe Hayden's got some more blasphemy to throw out for the listeners.
I mean, I'm good responding to any shade that you have, Hayden. But I know we've also been on for a pretty long time, so.
All right.
Well,
Kemba Walker is not a fit. Don't let them convince you otherwise.
Kemba Walker's an offensive fit. It's okay. Just told you that he's a good pick and roll guy. What the Mavs do, but that's okay.
Where is Lucas going to have the ball, or is Kemba Walker going to have the ball?
That's what I'm saying.
No, actually, I'm completely different. Good teams make it work. So the ball doesn't have to just be in one person's hands every single possession. Was it in LeBron's hands every single possession when he was with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh?
Are you trying to?
Am I trying to what?
It's so weird how he'll be talking and then all of a sudden, like it's frozen and it sounds like he's losing it, and then it'll unfreeze and he's just staring off in the distance like this.
Yeah, it looked like you weren't yelling, and then you yelled, but you were just looking. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was weird.
First of all, how blasphemous that you just compared the Miami Heat situation to what you have in Dallas. First of all,
Well,
Kemba Walker wishes he could be half as good as Chris Bosh, and that was the third option there.
Kristaps Porzingis is the post. Luka Doncic is the guard, and Kemba Walker is also a guard. So you have. I don't think it's that blasphemous personally. They're not as good as LeBron James or Chris Bosh, well, he might be as good as Chris Bosh. We'll see, but not as good as Dwayne Wade. I said we'll see. We don't. He has higher potential than Chris Bosh.
Who?
Kristaps Porzingis has higher potential.
I agree with that.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Kemba.
The Miami Chris Bosh.
Okay, sure.
Toronto Chris Bosh was great. I love.
Hopefully that same thing doesn't happen, because we all know they struggled winning a championship when they ran into a real team in 2011. So.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first.
I want to close
Mavericks
on that.
are winning the championship, the 2020 NBA Finals. So take notes of that. Bet on it. Get yourself some money.
Write it down.
Yeah, write it down.
Done.
Write it down. Well, Hayden, you all right?
Let's go ahead and close.
Let's go ahead. Look, all right.
I'm done.
Thank you to all our listeners who made it this far. Go ahead and give us a follow at Lunch Sports. L is capitalized. The first S is capitalized as well. Give us a follow. DM us. Yep. Thank you for listening.
Hey! Shout out to Oregon fan.
Yeah.
Shout out to that Oregon fan.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We'll see you all later.